It is terrifying to think of World War II and its great horrors. However, it is more frightening to think how close the Nazis came to winning the war with their great secret weapon. The U-boat did not have the great cannons of a destroyer or the indestructible steel of a tank. It was simple in a way, but it packed a punch of deadly accuracy that almost brought Great Britain to its. You may be wondering, what is a U-boat? In translation from German, a U-boat means undersea wolf. A U-boat is a submarine that measured 214 feet long. It had a crew of 55 brave men. It was the first submarine to sink a ship with a propelled torpedo since the American Revolution. Now, let's get into how did the U-boats work. The point of a U-boat is to fire a torpedo accurately and hit. This was a big challenge for submarine captains. It carried 12 lethal torpedoes. This predator could lurk beneath the waves for up to 3 days. Let's get into why the U-boat was built and developed in the first place. The setting is Europe and the land war is raging. The Axis are losing. The reason for this is they are fighting two fronts. To put you into perspective, it is like fighting two people. Who are these two people? They are Great Britain and the former Soviet Union. The Axis knew they had to take out one of them or they were going to lose. If you did not fail your geography class, you would know that England is an island. The only way it gets food, water, and ammo is by freighter ship. So the Axis connected the dots, but this was not so simple. The escorts were protected by destroyers, so the U-boats still had to exercise caution while hunting. This tactic was so effective that historians theorized that if Hitler had 100 more U-boats, he would have won the war of the Atlantic. This would have gotten him world domination. Now, let's get into how did the U-boats work. The point of a U-boat is to fire a torpedo accurately and hit. This was a big challenge for submarine captains. The first torpedoes had little control and predictability over where the torpedo went after it left the torpedo tube. World War II torpedoes had much more predictability and control, but they were still hard to aim. The crew would try to spot ships on the surface. Once they spot a ship, they would dive and use a periscope. A periscope is a tube with mirrors on either side to see when submerged. The way a captain aimed the torpedo was by calculating the position of the submarine so its position corresponded with the speed and size of the ship. The U-505 was equipped with 4 torpedo tubes, 2 in the front and 2 in the back. The way that a captain would dive is by pumping water into the ballast tanks. This gave the submarine a negative buoyancy, allowing it to sink. To surface, the captain pumped water from the ballast tanks. This gave the submarine a positive buoyancy, allowing it to rise from the depths. To make adjustments along the longitudinal axis, the U-boat was equipped with dual rudders and elevators for added maneuverability. For propulsion, the submarine used diesel engines on the surface. However, it could not use a diesel engine when submerged because they need air. U-boats, when submerged, used electric engines that charged when the submarine was on the surface. The U-boats were extremely successful at what they were designed to do. The ratio of ships sunk to U-boats sunk is 4-1. This was getting really bad for Great Britain and the Allies. The Allies quickly realized that if this continues, they were going to lose the war. The Allies were running out of supplies at an astonishing rate. The Allies quickly realized that if this continues, they were going to lose the war. In order to stop this, they had to sink the U-boats. To accomplish this, there were 2 challenges that the Allies had to face. The first is detecting the U-boats. The second is, once they're detected, sinking them. Let's start with the first challenge, detecting the U-boat. This was easy when the U-boat was at periscope depth. A U-boat periscope depth is 35 feet. At this depth, it was easy to spot the U-boat from a passing ship or plane. However, this was not always the case. Sometimes the U-boats would dive after attacking. Then spotting it from a plane or a ship would be almost impossible. Then, after a series of trial and error, the Allies came up with a new invention called sonar. Sonar was basically a form of radar that worked underwater, and instead of radio waves, used sound waves. Sonar released sound waves that would bounce off a metal object like a U-boat and would bounce back to its receiver, where they would calculate whether or not there was a U-boat beneath them. The second issue was sinking them. On the surface, this problem was solved by a dive bomber plane, or a ship carrying a torpedo. This method was not accurate below periscope depth. The Allies needed a new, more accurate solution. After many trials and errors, the Allies invented the depth charge. A depth charge, by definition, is an explosive that sinks and detonates. An interesting fact is that it's not the explosion that caused the damage, but instead the water vibrations. This is how the Allies would sink U-boats and detonate mines. As you may have inferred, life on a submarine is no fun. The U-boat is no exception from this. I will start with the fact that the U-boat had only 2 bathrooms, for a crew of 55. They stored food in one and ate their way in. They did this because of storage constraints. The U-boat kitchen was 4 feet by 4 feet big. Imagine cooking for over 50 people in such a kitchen. The engineers had even worse. The whole crew depended on them to maintain the submarine. They also had to look over the engines. This was extremely dangerous because the engine compartment heated up to 105 degrees, and the batteries could produce toxic fumes if mishandled. Overall, the conditions on the U-boat were really bad and dangerous, but because of this, critical advancements were made in building ships and submarines. In conclusion, the U-boat was a marvel of technology. It pioneered in submarine technology and allowed for future advancements to be made. It just got into the wrong hands.